We're up to Daf Ayin Beis, Amid Beis at the very bottom of the Amid. The last thing the Gemara had said was that Gemara wanted to know, most minchas are made of wheat. There are two that are made of barley, and that's the minchas ha'omer and the mincha of the soita. So the Gemara wanted to know, how do I know by those minchas that the kohen eats the remainder? The pasuk says there's a kmitza. That I know there's a kmitza, but how do I know the kohen eats the remainder of it? Because it's not mefurish in the pasuk. The mefurish in the pasuk is about wheat. The pasuk never outright says that those two karbanis, the kohen eats the remainder. So the Gemara says, well, there's an extra pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'chol mincha belula b'shemen v'charev l'chol bnei Aaron tiyeh," that the kohen eats the mincha. This is a completely extra pasuk. So we say, while the pasuk is talking about wheat, it really means barley. When there's an extra pasuk, you can do that. Im einoi inyan lezeh tenei inyan lezeh. Fine. The Gemara is going to basically, I'm just going to say outside, the Gemara is basically going to point out, it's not an extra pasuk. We use the pasuk for something else. What do we use the pasuk for? There's a concept in the Torah that a kohen is not allowed to exchange one piece for another piece. Meaning, if I'm a kohen and I'm given a very small piece of mincha, because they're giving it out, and there's a lot of kehanim, and there's not a lot of karbanos today, and I get a small piece. I am allowed to give it to my friend. I can say, listen, you can have it. That's fine. But what I can't do is I can't go to my friend, listen, I prefer protein. You're a carb guy. I'll give you my piece of bread. You give me your piece of meat. You can't exchange it. It's an issa deraisa to do this, and this pasuk teaches us that. So, and by the way, we're going to have a very long brisa that basically says a kohen's not allowed to exchange bread for bread for bird, bird for meat, meat for bird. All these things. Every permutation of exchange is asur. Even within a mincha, I can't do a chareva for a machvas for a machvas, all these things. It's from this lengthy brisa, it's often this pasuk. So how could you tell me this pasuk is extra to tell me that the kohen eats the barley? It's not extra. That's the Gemara. The Gemara says, halachachi dasa, is the pasuk really extra to tell me this? But we need it for the following brisa, a very lengthy brisa about the isser of exchanging karbanos. Minayin she'ein cholkin menachos keneged zvachim. How do I know a kohen is not allowed to exchange bread for proteins, for meat? So he's not allowed to say to his friend, I'll give you the mincha, and you give me a piece of meat back. That's not allowed. How do I know this? It's meant for each kohen, meaning it is not meant to be exchanged. It's meant to be given to the kohen. That's the isser of bread for animal meat. Keep going. I might think that you're not allowed to exchange bread for animal meat because there's never a time where they're exchanged. What's the one time where someone is poor? It's called a carbon oil of yard. If I can't afford animal, if I can't afford animal, I go bird. I can't afford bird, I go bread. So animal to bread, there's never a jump from animal to bread. There's always a bird in between. So maybe I can't exchange animal for bread because there's never a crossing of paths. But maybe I could exchange bread for bird. Meaning, I have a bird, you have a chatas, I'm a kohen, Gavin's a kohen. I have a chatas oif that I'm not interested in. He's got a mincha, and he's not interested. Maybe we could exchange. You'll say, well, I thought you're not allowed to exchange. Yeah, but bread for bird, they're the next in line, so maybe you could exchange. Talmud loymar, again, the same drasha that it's meant for the kehanim. It's meant for the kehanim, all of them alike, meaning not meant to be exchanged. It's not yours to exchange. It's given as a gift to each kohen. It's not meant to be exchanged. Now, keep going. So we've asered, you can't exchange bread for animal, bread for bird. Keep going. Maybe you can't exchange bread for bird because bread and birds are not animals, meaning a bird has life, a bread does not. But maybe I'm allowed to exchange bird for animal. I have a bird, you have a piece of shlamim, maybe we could exchange, because they're both living creatures. Again, the pasuk lists all the karbanos, and it says l'chol bnei Aaron tiyeh. Each carbon is meant for the kehanim to use, not to exchange. Keep going. You might think that you're not allowed to exchange bird for animal. Because an animal is shechted with a knife, and a bird is slaughtered with the thumb of the kohen, the malika. So they're not prepared in the same way. But maybe bread for bread. You have a minchas machvas. I have a minchas marcheshes. They're both bread. Maybe you could exchange. Talmud loymar, v'chol mencha belula b'Hashem and l'chol bnei Aaron tiyeh. Last one, actually two more. Yachol lo yachluku machvas keneged marcheshes. U'marcheshes keneged machvas. You might think I can't exchange for machvas for a marcheshes, which are menachos that are prepared differently. One's in a shallow pan, one's in a deep pan, one's like crispy, and one's like a cake. Shezub maser koshin, v'zu maser rachin, because they're not prepared the same way. Maybe that's why you can't exchange it, because it's more of it feels more businessy when they're not prepared the same way. But if I have a machvas and you have a machvas, and for whatever reason, I want to make a deal with you. I don't know why. I'll give you my piece today, you give me a piece tomorrow. Whatever the cheshbon. I'm not hungry today. You're not allowed to do that. And the last one, all these psukim are talking about kachik kachim. Maybe I could exchange by kachik kalim, meaning a shlamim. I can't exchange a chatas because that's what the pasuk's talking about. And a mincha, which is kachik kachim, but maybe kachik kalim I could exchange. The Kitzer, you have this very, very long brisa. They use this pasuk, meaning you can't exchange kachikalim either. I'll give you a toy that you give me a shlamim. It's the same thing, but it's just instead of a kachikachim, it's kachikalim. It's the same thing. So the point is, you have this very lengthy brisa that uses this pasuk that we thought was extra to tell me. We thought the pasuk was extra to tell me that Kehanim eat the barley. No, this pasuk is not extra. It's used for this. Let's keep going. Let's finish up the brisa. So the Gemara says, and just to finish up the brisa, ish, when it says giving out the karbanos, it says ish, meaning that a kohen gets a share if he's an ish. Ish chaylik vafilu balmum. A kohen gets a share to eat even if he's a balmum. A balmum can eat. But ein katan chaylik afilu tam. But we don't give a share to a katan, meaning ish. You have to be above bar mitzvah. If you're above bar mitzvah, you'll get a share even if you're a balmum. But if you're under bar mitzvah, even if you're healthy, you're not getting a share. The Kitzer, this brisa uses this pasuk to tell me you're not allowed to exchange karbanis. So how is it extra to tell me that a kohen eats the barley? So the Gemara says, Ahu mikol nafka. The answer is they're not using the same words. Meaning, every single time, this brisa, really the pasuk is telling me that the kohen eats the barley. I thought this brisa is telling me you're not allowed to exchange. Each time it says the word kol, it's from the exchange part. The issue of exchanging is from the word kol. Kol meaning kol kehanim, all kehanim. It's not meant for you for business. It's given to every kohen equally. So the pasuk is for the barley, but the word kol is for this drasha. Says the Gemara, I thought we used kol, how mikol, a pixel, because Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Apparently, I didn't remember this. 11 days ago, we used kol for something else. We used kol to tell me that if you donate an optional mincha, it's either wafers or loaves, but not a combination of both. And that's the word kol. The kitzur, the word kol is used for something else. So the Gemara says, mehula mevikol. It's from the vav. So this entire drasha of Isser of exchange is from the vav. Okay. So they're not using the same words. They're not being used. Okay. The kitzur, we started this discussion because yesterday we ended with finding a source. How do I know that by the barley minchas, which are again, minchas ha'omer and minchas soita, how do I know the kohen eats the remainder? So we said it's from this pasuk. And then we got into this pasuk. It's not extra. The Gemara now is going to say, I have a different source. The Gemara says, Ravina Amar, Aisya mititani Levi. Levi has a brisa that teaches a different source, that Kehanim eat the barley, the omer, and the soita. What's this brisa? This brisa is mafurish. The brisa says like this: Kol karbanam, l'chol minchasam, l'chol chatasam, l'chol ashamam. The pasuk is telling you, I believe this is all in this parsha. I think so. Actually, no, yeah, I don't know. I think so. But Bekitzer, it doesn't matter. I don't want to get confused. But Bekitzer, the pasuk is listing that which the Kehanim get. No, it's actually not. It was yesterday. This is in Devarim. In Sab was yesterday. Bekitzer, the pasuk is telling me what the Kehanim get. They get chatasam, karbanam, minchasam, and ashamam. So, and it says kol minchasam, kol ashamam, kol chatasam, kol. So there's something extra. So this brisa is basically going to tell me Kehanim eat things that I wouldn't think. I know they get the shlamim. I know they get the chatas. This pasuk is adding. So let's go through what the pasuk is adding. Number one, kol karbanam is l'rabas lug shemen shel mitzayra. When you bring the mitzayra brings oil as part of his purification process, he brings a lug of oil. Part of it is placed on his forehead, on his ears, on his toes. And then he sprinkle towards the heichal, and the remainder of that bottle of oil is given to the kohen, and he could use it for his salad. That's what the pasuk is adding. The whole karbanam is to include that the kahanim get the lug of oil. What's the chiddush? Basically, this brayso is going to list each item they get and what the chiddush is. The chiddush is min ha'esh kasar achmana kamashmalon. You might think they shouldn't get it because it's not actually burnt on the mizbeach. Meaning, maybe they only get that which is part of an actual carbon which is burnt on the mizbeach, like a shlamim or a mincha. This oil is not part of the burning process, so maybe they shouldn't get it. Kamashmal and they get it. That's chiddush number one. Number two, and this is why we're quoting the brayso, l'chol minchasam l'rabos minchas omer minchas kanos, that they get to eat the remainder of the omer and the sota. This is the point. This is the source that these happen to be barley. That they eat this. It's from the word l'chol minchasam. What's the chiddush? Why would I think they don't eat it? Not because of barley. The Gemara is a different reason why it's a chiddush. You might think maybe the kehanim only eat the minchas that are meant to atone. The minchas omer is not atoning; it's being mater chadash. The minchas sota is not atoning; it's clarifying whether she's an adulteress. So because it's not coming to atone, maybe they should not eat it. Kamashmalan. The Gemara says, they get it. Stop. Adkam, that's the brayso that they get, that they eat the remainder of the barley. But now we're just going to obviously finish the brayso. Keep going. L'chol chatasam, that they eat all the chatas. L'rabas chatas ha'of, that they eat the chatas ha'of. What's the chiddush of eating the chatas ha'of? I'll tell you the chiddush. Bird chatas ha'of is not shechted. It's technically an avela. So you might think that they shouldn't eat it. You might think that because it's an avela, kamashmalan. No, they eat it as well. And the last one is l'chol ashamam, l'rabos asham nazir v'asham mitzora. It's to include that they get to eat the asham nazir and the asham mitzora. So says the Gemara, well, okay, Asham Nazir we'll get to in a second, but Asham Mitzora, it says regarding the Asham Mitzora, the Mitzora is Asham, it says, Ki chachatas ha'asham hu lakayin. It says the kayin eats it, it's not a drasha, it's mafurish pasuk. El rabos Asham Nazir ki Asham Mitzora. Rather, it just means that the Asham Nazir is like the Asham Mitzora, they eat it. The Kitzur, the pasuk is including the Asham Nazir, the Asham of the Nazir. Why would I think they don't eat the Asham of the Nazir? Why do I need a pasuk to bring it? Sol katay techamina lahach shekasi. The asham of the nazir is not coming to atone. It's being mater the mitzora, the nazir, that he's allowed to now cut his hair. He's now allowed to be back into regular life. So because it's not coming to atone, you might think they don't eat it. Normally the asham is coming to atone. This is not. Kamash malon, they eat it as well. And the end of the pasuk, another thing that can get asher yashivu is a gezel hager. L'chol uvenecha, sh'l'chol uvenecha afilu kadosh b'yasei isha. So. Asher Yeshivu Zegez Lager, that they get Gez Lager, which means that if someone steals from a ger and they have to return it, and then the ger dies, normally when someone dies in Klal Yisrael, they have relatives that you should return the money to. Nebuch ger sometimes may not have any legitimate heirs. So who gets it? The Kehanim. And the last pasuk is L'chol Hulevanecha. All of these are gifts to the Kehanim. It means Shalachol Hulevanecha Afilu Kadosh Beis Isha. They're the Kehanim's property, and they could use it to Mekadosh and Isha. Meaning, it's not just that they have the right to eat it. Mamish is theirs regarding kedushin as well. Okay, a discussion is going to take us basically to the two dots, and that is, we know that a guy is able to donate an oila. The question is like this: if a guy donates a shlamim, normally a shlamim is partially eaten by the owners, partially eaten by the kehanim, and partially eaten by God. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, go to the next page. Shalmei ha'oiv de kechavim oilas. If a guy comes to the Beis Hamikdash and he says, I have a shlamim, the halacha is it's an oila. We burn it entirely. Meaning, there's no such thing, according to Rav Huna, as a shlamim by a guy. It's oila or nothing. Which, by the way, just hashkafically, goyim in their religions also, they don't get this middle ground, right? Like the priests are just celibate. There's just like the Buddhists are on the mountains. There's either Lahem or Lachem. There's musig of like a Yom Tif of Chatzi Lashem, Chatzi Lachem, they don't really get. And therefore, every carbon they donate, it's an oila. They could say it's a shlamim, but it's an oila. That's our Huna's take. Says the Gemara, Iba Yisema Kra and Iba Yisema Svara. This could be based on a pasuk, or I can bring this as rationale. What would be the rationale? Iba Yisema Svara, Oivikam Li B'Lishmayim. First of all, Goyim do not understand the concept of Chetzi L'Kehanim. So if the guy comes forward and he says it's a shlamim, practically, he doesn't actually mean that. He doesn't understand that the Kehanim eat part of the carbon. So when he says shlamim, in his mind, a sacrifice is for God. So he could say whatever he wants. It's very practical. Forget psukim, whatever. It's very practical. If a guy comes forward, he says it's a shlamim, he means oila. He doesn't. No, because in their religion, they don't have a musig of half and half. So therefore, if he comes forward, he says it's a shlamim, he means oila. He doesn't actually think the kahanim. And if he were to see the kahanim eat it, he'd be like, what are you talking about? It's my sacrifice to God. And therefore, it's just oila. That's the svara. And Yibai say makra, but the truth is, there's a pasuk. The pasuk says, Asher yakrivu la'Hashem la'oila. Asher yakrivu la'Hashem means everything that a guy is makriv is an oila. Okay. Called the Mekarbe Oila Haba. So Rav Huna is mechadish that basically a guy can never donate a shlomim. Everything he donates is an oila. Says the Gemara, Masiv Rav Chama Bar Guria. Rav Chama Bar Guria says, I have a question. Look at this brisa. The brisa says, if a guy pledges to bring a shlomim, Pashas means a guy is bringing a shlomim. So Nasan li Yisrael and Eichlan, Nasan Kahanim Kayanachan. If he gives it to Yisrael, the Yisrael eats it. If he gives it to a Kayan, the Kayan eats it. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means so much, but it kind of sounds like that a guy can donate a shlamim and it's partially eaten by the Yisraelim or the Kehanim. So you see that a guy could donate a shlamim. So the Gemara says, no. It's not what the Brisa means. The Brisa is not talking about a case where the guy brings a shlamim to the Beis HaMikdash. It means the case is the guy gives the shlamim to a Jew. Meaning, Gavin has a colleague who's an En Yehudi. The case of the Brisa is not where he's donating a shlamim to the Beis HaMikdash. It's not the case. If Yitaka donated a shlamim to the Beis HaMikdash, it's an oil. It's entirely burnt. It says, Yisrael oichloi, Kayin oichloi. How you doing? Hey, what's going on? Yisrael oichloi or Kayin oichloi. It's talking about the following case. Gavin has a colleague who's an En Yehudi, and the colleague says to Gavin, you want my shlamim for you? The halacha is, Gavin can retake it, and then Gavin can bring it as his own shlamim. So when it says, means if he donates it to a Jew, it becomes a yid. Meaning you're allowed to. The chiddush is now very small, and that is basically you're allowed to receive a gift of an animal from an Yehudi and bring it as a shlamim. I'm not sure why you would think you're not able to, but the point is, according to this, it's an incredibly simple rule, and that is he gives it to you, then you can eat it because you're the owner of the shlamim. He gives it to a kayan, the kayan eats it. Meaning you're allowed to basically receive an animal from a guy and bring it as a shlam. Okay, it's a much smaller chiddush. He says, Amar Rav Hachi Kamar, Al Menashi Iskabe Ben Yisrael Yisrael Noichel. If a guy brings a shlamim on condition that it's for a Jew, he's not bringing it for himself. Maybe he's going straight to the Beis HaMikdash. He's going to the Beis HaMikdash and he says, this shlamim is for Gavin. No, so now it becomes mine. I'm saying the kapara is for me, so I eat it because I'm the bailim. Basically, the point is he's donating it to the Beis HaMikdash, not for himself, for the guy, for the Jew. Yeah, that's the point. It stays a shlamim. Okay, it's not such a big chiddush. Yeah, I think it would also work. No, I don't think so. I think that you're not giving it for that purpose. I'm not. That would be gneva. I'm giving it on condition. It's a shlamim. Says the Gemara. Okay. You have this chiddush of Rav Huna that basically goyim cannot bring shlamims. It's oil or nothing. Here's the problem. We have a brayz that says not like that. Masiv Rav Shizbi, the Mishnah says, Elu menachos nikmatzos v'shirei and lekehanim. Our Mishnah, what did the Mishnah say? These are the menachos that are this kmitza, and the kehanim eat the remainder. What is one of the examples? Mincha sevikachavim, the mincha of a guy. Now let me ask you a question. According to Rav Huna, I thought goyim are everything's oilas. I thought there's no musig of a non-oila. So how am I bringing a mincha? The Mishnah says that if a guy brings a mincha, it's eaten by the kehanim. So that's not an oila. So you see that goyim could bring things other than oilas. They bring a mincha. So what's going on? It's a pretty clear kasha. So says the Gemara, he is in the kasha. The Mishnah says mefurish that if a guy brings a mincha, there's a kmitza and the remainder are eaten by the kehanim. So it's not an oila. So you see there's a musig of non-oilers. There's a musig of chatzi lachem, chatzi lashem by goyim as well. So it's mefurish that there is a concept of non-oilers by a guy. So the Gemara says, you know what the answer is? Loi kasha, Rav Yechon kasha, ha Rav Yossi Aglili, ha Rav Akiva. The answer is, this is the difference between Rav Yossi Aglili and Rav Akiva. Basically, I'm going to say it outside, there's a pasuk that talks about goyim's karbanas, and it ends off oila. Rav Akiva takes it literally, oila, everything's an oila. He's the author that there's no such musik as a mincha partially, it's oila or nothing. That's Rav Akiva. Rav Yossi Aglili uses the word oila for something else. According to him, a guy can donate a shlamim, a guy can donate a mincha, why not? What's the problem? A guy can't eat it, fine, shine, but he could donate a shlamim and it would be brought as a shlamim like anything else. So Rav Yossi Aglili, who uses the word oila for something else, believes that it doesn't have to be an oila. Rav Akiva uses the word oila to tell dafka oila nothing else. So machlokes Rav Yossi and Rav Akiva. The Gemara says, "Amar Lekash Rav Yossi." The Tanya, the Brisa says, "Ish." Matam lemer ish. The actual word ish l'Rabbi Savikacham, that a guy can donate a carbon. Shenoidim nidarim nidvas ki Yisrael. They're able to donate carbonas. Asher herkivu laHashem laOla. So what does it mean that it says that regarding Goyim, Asher herkivu laHashem laOla? So it says the Gemara ainli laOla shlomim minayin. It's mefurish. Rabbi Yosef says, how do I know they're able to bring a shlomim? Tamalomer nidreihem. Toda minayin. How do I know they can bring a carbon toda? Tamalomer nidvosam. Minayin l'Rabbis ofas hayayin v'levona ve'etzim. How do I know they're also able to donate birds, wine, levona, and wood? Tamalomer nidreihem l'chol nidreihem. Nidvosam l'chol nidvosam. According to Rabbi Yosef, they could bring any carbon. Im kain matam lemer oila. So why does it mention oila? So says the Gemara, oila pratlin naziris. They're not able to bring a carbon naziris. Meaning, if a guy becomes a nazir, he cannot. First of all, he can't become a nazir, and he can't bring naziris as well. Wait a minute. Oh, so the Gemara, we'll get to that in a second. The Gemara is basically going to say there's two sources excluded from a nazir. One is to tell me he's not a nazir, and one is to tell me he can't bring karbanos. Because you could argue maybe he's a nazir and he's just a nazir forever. No, he's not a nazir and he can't bring karbanos. But the point is, Rav Yosef clearly is comfortable with them bringing any carbon. Comes Rav Akiva, Omer, Asher Yakuv LaHashem LaOila, Eili Ela Oila Bavad. Rav Akiva says, no, you missed everything. Oila only. That's it. Done. Says machlokes Rav Akiva and Rav Yosef. Says the Gemara, the high pratlin naziris mahachi dasa. Wait a minute. So you telling me that a guy can't bring a carbon naziris is from here? I thought there's a different source. It says ish can bring a nazir, be a nazir, be a Yisrael noidim, that a guy can't be a nazir. So I have two sources to exclude guy from naziris. Why? So it says more very simple. One is to tell me they can't bring a carbon, and one is to tell me they can't be a nazir. Just because they can't bring a carbon doesn't mean they're not a nazir. Maybe they're a nazir forever. Kamashma, no. Can't bring a carbon. Second charge is they can't even be a nazir b'chlal, meaning the restrictions of naziris do not apply to a guy. Fine. But you have a machlokes of Yossi Haglili and Rabbi Akiva of whether they're able to be bring carbonos that are not an oila. According to Rabbi Akiva, oila only. According to Yossi Haglili, any carbon. Says the Gemara is just going to clarify one point. According to Rabbi Akiva, do they bring the libations that are associated with an oila? Everything's an oila. I get it. We at this point, though, assume that according to Rabbi Akiva, it's oila only, not just oila, only the animal, not the nisachim that come with the oila. Says the Gemara, is that true? Meaning at this point we assume that if a guy donates an oila, a carbon, according to Rabbi Akiva, it's the animal only, and they don't even bring the libations. Is that true? Says the Gemara, Kimana azla hatzitzinan, isn't there a Mishnah, Amrav Shimon, Shiva dvar miskinu bezdin. There were 7 takanas of Bezdin Zechem, and this is one of the takanas. If a guy sends his oila from abroad, and we can't talk to him, we can't follow up or get money from him, V'shilach ima nisachim, and he sent the libations with it, then krev mishaloi. Perfect. Vim lav. But let's say he just sent the animal. So the problem is we need the libations, but we can't get a hold of him. So you know what we do? We pay for the libations. Okay. So you see though, says the Gemara, krev mishal tzibur. What do you see though? You see that not only did bring the oil, they bring the libations as well. So this is not like Rav Akiva. Lemer Rav Yosef Giv Rav Akiva, because according to Rav Akiva, we assume you only bring the animal, no libations. The Gemara says no. I feel the tamer Rav Akiva oila b'chol chaverta. No. According to Rav Akiva, you bring the oila and the libations with the oila. So according to Rav Akiva, it's not just an oila; it's an oila with all the kutraman, all the spices and all the associated stuff. Okay, the Gemara brings another source that Rav Akiva would be comfortable bringing an oila with its nesachim. Because the Gemara says, I have a problem. Man tani lahadatan rabbanon. Who is the author of the following brisa? The brisa says, Ezrach may be nesachim, ve'ein oivik may nesachim. This brisa starts off that a guy cannot just donate libations, meaning not libations that are with an animal. He shows up with a bottle of wine. I'd like to bring this as a carbon. No, that you can't do. Now, by the way, already right off the bat, that's not like Rav Yossi Aglili, because Rav Yossi Aglili is like they could donate anything. So right off the bat, they're not able to just donate wine. This is not Rav Yossi Aglili, so he's already out. Then it keeps going. But Kacha tells me that although they're not able to donate libations on their own, if they donate an ola, they bring libations as well. So who's the author? It can't be Rav Yossi Aglili, because the brisa says they can't donate wine libations on its own. Rav Yossi Aglili would say they could. So you say, well, it must be Rav Akiva. But I thought Rav Akiva holds animal only, no libations. This is animal with libations. Libations, no. Animal with libations, yes. So it's not Rav Yossi Aglili, not Rav Akiva. So the Gemara is going to point out, this is another source that according to Rav Akiva, you can bring the animal plus the libations. So the Gemara says, money, lo Rav Yossi Aglili, Rav Akiva. I Rav Yossi Aglili, ha'amar yayanami. I Rav Akiva amar oila in midachrin aloi. Who is the author of this brisa? This brisa says they're not able to donate libations on its own, but they can donate the ola with libations. Seems to be nobody. It's not Rav Yossi Aglili, because according to Rav Yossi Aglili, you're able to donate wine. And it's not Rav Akiva, because according to Rav Akiva, we assume at this point, you're not able to donate the libations with the carbon. So which one is it? So the Gemara says two answers. Ibay Sem Rav Yosef Aglili, Ibay Sem Rav Akiva. It could be either. Ibay Sem Rav Yosef Aglili, Sami Behali Yayin. First of all, it could be Rav Yosef Aglili, just take out the first part. The first part that says that they're not able to donate wine on its own, take it out. Okay. Or Ibay Sem Rav Akiva, or it could be Rav Akiva and just and the answer is the mistake that we said before, which is your presumption that they're only able to donate an oila. That's not true. They're able to donate an oila and all of the libations that go with an oila. So it's Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva holds the oila v'chol chaverta. Just to finish up the daf, what is the source of Rav Shimon? Rav Shimon had an interesting shita. Normally the mincha of a kohen is entirely burnt. It's entirely burnt. I'm a kohen, I donate a mincha. There's no kmitza, it's just entirely burnt. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai had a very interesting shita, and that is, if a kohen brings a sin mincha, a sin offering mincha, so what normally happens with the sin offering mincha? You do the kmitza, and then you eat the remainder. Now, kehanim, you don't eat the remainder of a kohen's mincha. It's not done. So pashtus, you just burn the whole thing. No, it comes with Shimon, no. You do the kmitza, burn the kmitza, and then you burn the remainder in 2 stages. That's Rav Shimon Bar Yochai's shita. The Gemara wants to know, where did he get this from? So we'll start this brisa, and we'll have to continue tomorrow. The brisa says like this. How do I know Rav Shimon Shita? The Tan Rabbanan. V'hoisel hakoyin kimincha. It says that it should be like a koyin for a mincha. This is referring to a koyin bringing a sin offering. What does it mean? This is not Rav Shimon Bar Yochai yet. It's a shetei avidasik sherubai. It just means that a koyin can do his own sin offering. Okay. First pshat is, meaning a koyin is able to do his own sin offering. So if I'm the koyin who sinned, I could do the kmitza on my own sin offering, on my own mincha. Okay. Says the Gemara, maybe it doesn't mean that the kohen could do it itself. Maybe it means that it could be eaten. Normally the mincha of a kohen is not eaten. Maybe the mincha of a sin offering of a kohen is eaten, because it says, again, the words are hoisel kohen kemincha. What do those words teach me? So it says the first opinion of the Brisa Tanakama says it means that the kohen can bring his own sin offering. He could actually do the service. Says the Gemara, maybe it doesn't mean that. Maybe it means that the kohen's sin offering is actually consumed. No. I thought Kehanim's minchas are normally burnt. Minchas nidvaso, aval chavasa tenechals. Maybe the sin offering of minchas taka eaten. Talmud lomar v'hoisa lakayin kemincha. Makish chavasa lenidvasai. Manidvasai in necheles. Av chavasa in necheles. Just like the optional kohen's mincha is completely burnt, so too the sin offering of a kohen is also completely burnt. Meaning, the Tanakam is telling me that the chiddush of the pasuk is that the kohen is able to do his own sin offering, mincha, but it's not eaten, it's entirely burnt. Comes Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rav Shimon says, Rav Shimon, and we'll end with this. It doesn't say kimin chasai, which would compare the sin offering to the optional carbon that they're entirely burnt. Rather, el kimincha. Hakish minchas chote shel koyin keminchas chote shel Yisrael. Ma minchas chote shel Yisrael nikmetzes, af minchas chote shel kahana nikmetzes. Ima minchas chote shel Yisrael nikmetzes sher nechalim, af minchas chote shel kahana nikmetzes sher nechalim. Tamalem lekoyin kemincha lo leishin kemincha. Haketzad koyimitz karev ba'atzmai b'shir karev ba'atzmai. Very simple. What it means is like this. The pasuk compares the sin offering of a mincha, the sin offering mincha of a kohen to something else. According to the Tanakama, it's comparing the sin offering of a mincha of a kohen to an optional kohen's mincha. The same way an optional kohen's mincha is entirely burnt, so to a sin offering is entirely burnt. Says Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, no. The pasuk is comparing the sin offering of a mincha of a kohen to the sin offering mincha of a Jew. How is my sin offering done? Kmitza, and the remainder is separate. So to kmitza, the remainder is separate. However, because it's a kohen, you don't eat the rest. Because there's a general issur of eating the mincha of a kohen. So here's what you do. You do the kmitza and you burn it. Now by a Yisrael, you eat the remainder. By a kohen, you don't. So Rav Shimon Bar Yochai believes that the reason why you do this process of kmitza and then burning the rest is because the pasuk compares the sin offering of mincha of a kohen to the sin offering of mincha of Yisrael. Just like the mincha of Yisrael has a kmitza, so this has a kmitza. But unlike Yisrael, which is eaten, this is not consumed. So you burn the kmitza and then you burn the remainder. That's a Shemei Chai Shita, and the Tanakama uses the drasha for something else. All right. Well, tomorrow we'll review this last point again.